Hello and welcome to Talking About. This is the first visual Talking About episode podcast that I've been doing with my buddy Will. We are just going to sit here. We're going to do a weekly show where we just talk to each other about baseball. We're headed towards the trade deadline. And, so I thought it would be a good idea for us to kind of jump on and talk about what's going on and what rumors we've heard and where we think guys are going to end up and how things are going to kind of end up in the season. So, Will, say hello to everybody.
Hey, good to see you. Hey, buddy, how are you?
Good. How are you, bud?
Doing good, doing good.
Good. So the one thing that the rumor I heard today was Max Scherzer. I heard him tied to Tampa Bay, but he said that he wants to go to the a West Coast team, which means he has a brain on him.
Right. No, yeah, I definitely, I didn't hear the Tampa rumor. I heard definitely the West, and then I actually heard it was narrowed to the National League West,
Yeah.
being the Padres, Dodgers, or Giants.
Yeah. I put this out there. I think that the Nationals, they need their next rookie. I think Joey Bart, he's just not developing the way the Giants want him to develop.
Yeah.
I think he's a good, solid catcher. I think he can call a good baseball game because he did call some really, really good games. Had that staff firing on all cylinders last season. I think the Giants are going to trade him, try to get Scherzer, trade him away because that's a prospect for the future. That it's our fourth best draft pick, I think, right now in our system.
Yeah.
And so I think that would make a lot of sense. Of course, I'm being biased because I want him to be a Giant. Because
who wouldn't?
Right, who wouldn't want Max Scherzer? I mean, he's got, he doesn't have the velocity he used to have, but no, he's like Greg Maddux. He can paint the corners like nobody's business, you know. And because of his namesake, he's going to get a lot of calls that way.
Agreed. Yeah, no, that'll definitely be a huge pickup for obviously anybody. But yeah, the Giants, because they need that veteran reliever. Cueto's very hit or miss lately. He's very streaky.
Right.
I mean, the other guys are doing well. Alex Wood, obviously he's doing well. So obviously because they're still the best, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they struggled against the Pirates this weekend, but
right.
To be fair, they struggled against the Pirates when they were in Pittsburgh. So, like those
it's
games
kind of teams.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like the Central, for whatever reason, the Giants have struggled against. I don't think we've played Milwaukee yet. I don't think we played Milwaukee yet. To be honest, I haven't seen them on the schedule yet. I know they're coming up. I know it's another Giant Dodger series, which is like really fun, but it's like one on top of the other on top of the other. It's a constant. It's Giants Dodgers. I'm like, didn't we just play this team a week ago? And that was kind of a.
It did, and it was 4 games.
But, right.
I mean, but that's the last time they're going to be in LA.
Right.
Season. So
that's insane to me, to have that rivalry cut off like so soon in the season. And then like the
schedule.
Yeah.
The schedule is very weird.
It really is. I think COVID threw more of a wrench into how they wanted to set things up than they thought it would,
And there's 2-game series now, and I'm not a fan of 2-game series. It's
right.
Just, it's odd. Like the A's have a 2-game series in San Diego tonight and tomorrow.
Right. And then
which makes tomorrow's game, it's a 1:05 start. So
right.
Tuesday afternoon, that's very odd.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Take me to the 12:30, the 1:05, the 7:05. Take the normal starts.
Right. Like the Giants played the first 2 games of the season against Seattle, and then Seattle came to San Francisco for 2 games. So it's like they split up the 4-game series, and for whatever reason, and it just made the scheduling strange. I mean, I don't know if they did it for COVID precautions, but it's been a weird schedule. And, I agree to that. So, who was the reliever the A's got? They just picked up.
What's his name? Andrew, I believe Chaffin is his name. Got him from the Cubs.
Yeah.
He was their setup guy. So, he's actually really solid. His ERA is just above 2. I think it's like 2.06 or something like that. But yeah, very solid. He was setting up for Craig Kimbrell, which I think the Giants should go after, but that's
Yeah, right. I
different
mean,
trade talk. But
well,
yeah, he's definitely a solid pickup. We needed that strong
yeah,
arm, strong reliever in the bullpen.
well,
We also need a closer, but this is a
right.
start. So
Well, Krimble, I mean, he's hit or miss though. Like
he's still solid.
right. He's still solid, but he's so hit or miss. He's the chicken wing guy, right?
I think so.
Yeah, yeah. So like he can be either spot on or he's just like, holy crap, did he just give up Jensen numbers in the ninth inning? So
Right.
yeah, and it's I mean, the Giants. I think the Giants, if they, I don't think they expected it to be buyers at this point in the season. I think they kind of thought that they needed another year to develop. But hey, if you're in the thick of this thing still, I mean, you got to go all
Capitalize.
in.
Oh yeah.
Always got to go all in. You never want to go halfway, especially when you're this close to doing something. And
And you've
I
been
was
running this hot for this long.
right.
Have to capitalize on it.
Exactly. I mean, they've cooled off a little bit, but I kind of suspected that they would cool off a little bit, come back down to earth, because every team comes back down to earth eventually. It happens. Baseball's it's not a sprint; it's a marathon. And Gosman, he's cooled off a lot for the Giants right now. He's kind of figuring things out. I think having that, the medical event with his wife kind of threw him off his rhythm a little bit. So now he has to get back into that mindset, back into that rhythm again, so it's going to be a minute, but he'll get back to it. I think he'll get back into the swing of things. I think he'll be back to, Cy Young contender. I don't think he'll win the Cy Young because there's a lot of really good arms right now in baseball that are, better than him. And he still has a 2 ERA.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's, let's see, what is Gosman's ERA? So he's still trying to find himself a little bit right now, but that's okay. You can't. He's at 2.21 ERA, which is still amazing. He's been sub 2 for this long, and we're almost 90 games into the season. So.
So who else do you think the Giants are going to go for? Position wise, what do you think they need?
I don't think they really need anything position wise because just their lineup is solid. They hit more home runs than anybody else. True. There's consistent 1 through 8 hitting. It comes from different points of the line out of the lineup. I think what the Giants do need is to get healthy. I think getting Belt back is going to be huge. That's because he's also kind of a streaky guy, but he's a guy who knows how to turn it on late in the season. He's a late bloomer. Having him back is going to be really good. I think we just got Ruff back. So having that guy back in the lineup, having LeMay, I think that's his name, or your former second baseman guy.
Oh,
LaStella, yeah, LeMay.
Tony LaStella, yeah.
LaStella, he's due back at any point in the season. So I think honestly, position wise, I don't think they need anybody position wise. I think that their hitting is set to compete now. Their bullpen is still really good. So I think that they have a real good philosophy with their bullpen. I think that our coach, he doesn't go use a guy more than 3 days in a row unless they really have to. So when you have a guy like Rogers who, his claim to fame is he's just funky. Yep. He's just a funky guy.
He's like Chad Bradford from back in the day.
Right, exactly. It's just a different arm angle, so he's, is he hittable? Oh, 100% hittable, but it's just.
People are starting to figure him out.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It just takes at bats and, so he's really only good for every 3 or 4 days to be our closer, but, he's been solid. He's been really solid for the Giants right now. So, but to circle back to your question, I don't think the Giants really need anything to be successful at at the plate. I think they have the keys to being successful at the plate. They're starting to get healthy. Posey's coming back around, having that
That
guy's
guy, he's definitely
right.
going to be comeback player of the year at least.
Right. Again.
Right.
I think he could compete for MVP honestly, national
Oh
league
yeah, I
MVP,
agree.
because he's been just so solid, you don't really know I don't think people understand his importance until he's gone, and that's what you saw in the 2011 season, like that, how important to have him in the game every single day, or 4 out of 5 days, how much it changes the dynamic of your baseball team, like just how he handles the pitching staff, how he hits the ball. Honestly, I think when his career is over, I think he'll jump right into being a coach. I think somebody will hire him right off the street to be a head coach of a baseball team, because I think he's got that kind of a mindset of how he knows how to handle a pitching staff. He knows
Oh
how
yeah.
to communicate with other players. He can be a bit douchey, from what I've heard, but sometimes you have to be a bit douchey to just protect your guys. So,
True. I mean,
so
he's called multiple no hitters and
right,
whatnot in his career. He's
right, a
multiple time
perfect
World
game,
Series winner, MVP winner. Like he's done it all. He's literally done
right.
it all.
Right. And, I've discussed this in a previous podcast. Like, I'm tired of the question being asked, well, does him sitting out last season affect his Hall of Fame career? I'm like, no, because he
Yeah.
did that because, him and his wife had just adopted twin girls, and doctors said, hey, probably be best if you didn't play. So he sat out last season, which is
Well, yeah,
100%
for
respectable.
obvious reasons.
Right. But I don't think he needs to do anything else to be a Hall of Famer. Honestly, I think he's had a Hall of Fame career. There are
He'll be
guys
first
who,
ballot.
right, exactly. There are guys who've gotten into the Hall of Fame on less, with less accolades, honestly. you
Yep.
know, uh, yeah, I mean, will he be unanimous? No, because, baseball's weird like that, but, whatever. Only Mariano Rivera is good enough for that glory, apparently.
Yeah.
What's this about the Mariners getting all hot all of a sudden?
The Mariners have actually they've been pretty just consistent throughout the year. They had what cheers. They had a slight skid, I don't know, around May, like
Yeah,
late April, early May, but they've been pretty consistent, pretty solid, and their guys they're just because they're a young team and they're just getting better and better,
right.
especially with Lewis in center field. They've actually compared him to Griffey, which I was surprised to hear that. I know, I know.
Wow.
I have heard the comparison. I've seen what he can do. I mean,
Yeah.
he's gonna be definitely gonna be the one to watch. But yeah, I mean the Mariners are hanging in there. They're not gonna surpass the Astros, but
Yeah.
they're a solid team.
Yeah. I mean, I think I kind of see them as being the White Sox like 2 years ago. The White Sox they've been building this thing for a while,
Yeah.
and they just needed the right pieces, develop from within. I think the San Francisco Giants really taught a lot of the smaller market teams that you can build from within and be successful if you make the right moves and you're smart about how you build and what you do with your trades. You don't give up too many pieces. You keep a core group of guys. You find that core that really clicks with everybody, and then you just let them play baseball, let them play ball, start building your rotation, get the right manager in there, because Tony La Russa's got them playing like gangbusters right now. So I don't know if the Mariners is like, okay, what's the next step for them? What do they need now, to take that next step to be a playoff contender? I think they're a winning baseball team right now with how their group is, but I don't think they're a playoff team quite yet. I think they still need another piece, another piece to the puzzle. It could be a head coach, because head coach in baseball does make a world of difference.
Oh yeah.
Just based on like years past, with especially with having a young team, you're going to want a coach that can kind of relate to them a little bit more, like with Gabe Kapler. He's a young guy, he relates really well. Have you seen pictures of Kapler? That dude is yoked, by the way.
Yeah. My wife has a bit of a crush on the dude. I mean,
I
for
don't
obvious reason.
Right. I showed Abby, my girlfriend, I showed her a picture of Kapler. She's like, oh, Oh my. I was like, I know, right?
Yeah.
Oh, so but anyways, I think Seattle, I think they're still going to be building. I don't think they're buying, I don't think they're selling. I think they're just going to
No.
stay pat. I think like with like what we talked about with my buddy Nick and the A's and their situation. I think that is going to end up being more of a distraction for them down the road. The longer this thing gets drug out, the more it affects players. The more it affects your team, the more
Yep.
because you're more privy to the information than I am. Like, what are the players saying about it when they're questioned about what's going on?
I mean, at this point, I'm not actually hearing too much from players saying about it. I'm only hearing fans and what like some reporters and writers are talking about. But I
Yeah,
think the players right now are just focusing on playing the game. They're not worried about what they're gonna their playing situation is going to be in a few years from now. They're worried about today and tomorrow, and
right.
so players aren't really saying too much about it.
Yeah, yeah. So like I was thinking about like the other day, I was thinking about the race in the National League West, and it kind of reminded me of the 1993. And I'm going to talk about this in a later podcast that I'm going to record probably tomorrow. I'm going to do some more homework on it tonight, but it reminded me of like the '93 Giants. And where baseball was back in 1993, the Giants won 103 games and they missed the playoffs by a whole game to the Atlanta Braves, who won 104 games that season. So like there's the potential of the Padres, the Dodgers, and the Giants all winning 100 plus games this season. It could happen, and one of those three teams is going to move on to the divisional round of the playoffs. That's just kind of mind blowing to me. That you could have three teams that are going to be at the very least be 90 plus wins, and one of those three teams is not going to make it to the next round of the playoffs. That's just kind
Yeah,
of.
well, I mean, back in '93, I mean that's why they changed the playoff system to
Mhm.
and added the wild card because
Right.
of things like that. But with the fact that these three teams in the West are as good as they are, it's kind of a one in a maybe twice in a lifetime type of thing. Like you're not going to see too many teams
Right.
so clustered together like that.
Right.
So, I mean, to change the playoff rules again. Although I did like the ones last year with the wild card 3 game best of 3 series. That was
Right.
fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. I would like them to go back to that because I
Right.
mean, because the A's have been burned in the one wild card game way too many times.
Right. And too many teams
So,
get, like you said, too many teams get burned in that one wild card game. You're telling me like it makes no sense for baseball. Baseball's never been a one game series.
no.
Like you name anything that's been a one game play. Okay, maybe if two teams end up tied with identical records, for the division, then they might go
Right.
to a one game playoff. But I think if it's for the playoffs and it's for the wild card to a chance to win a world championship, you need more than one, at
At
least
least best of
three.
3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Exactly.
Three
I'm
is
not
three is perfect for that. It's not a full 5 game series.
right.
It's
Right.
a 3 game wild card. Go for it.
Right. And that allows for, the teams who have, won their divisions to rest up a little bit more, not have to play baseball for a couple more games, so it puts more emphasis on winning your division. You want more days off to kind of heal up a little bit, kind of practice and rest, win your division. Don't push for the wild card. As far as like, to play devil's advocate here, you make the wild card and you lose in the wild card. That's on you.
Yeah.
You got to prepare better. I'm surprised that the A's haven't outright fired their coach at this point. For the multiple failures. I mean, he hasn't done terrible. I mean, he's done really good with what he's been given year in and year out. But at what point do you just go, maybe we should go in a different direction and see, if we're still stuck in the same.
I think it's just some small piece that Bob Melvin just has to figure out. Like
Yeah.
he's so close. They get so good during the season. It's just that one thing that he's like, okay, oh wait, that's what I need to do.
Right.
And I think there's just one thing he has to find, and I think he's close to finding it. So I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, because they just re-upped him. So
Right.
um they have faith in the man. I mean, he
Right.
gets them to the playoffs at least. Like so they just have to, and it's the team too. The team just somehow just falls apart. It doesn't matter who's on the team. It's just that
Yeah.
curse.
Yeah.
So it's just we have to break that curse.
Right. And yeah, as you've seen with the Cubs, it's possible. As you've seen with the
Red
Houston
Sox.
Astros, the Trastros, it's possible to
Yeah.
win. That's a podcast for a completely different day where I could go hours and hours on how
Oh.
like okay, if I'm just going to touch on it because it's going to bug me if I don't. If you're going to allow the Houston Astros to get away with what they got away with without any sanctions, then you have to let Pete Rose into the Baseball Hall of Fame, period.
Agreed.
Reinstate the Black Sox, period. If you're going to let this one little thing go, it's not even a little thing. It wasn't even a little bit of cheating. It's a lot of cheating. You're going to let it go, and all those players were fine, and they're going to have good careers, and they're going to probably be up for Hall of Fame, and they'll get in because they made a deal with the devil to not get suspended. Makes it like, okay, so where does baseball draw the line with that? Where was the line drawn? Like, I don't get it. I
I
don't
don't.
get it.
I don't either. I mean, we'll see. That may be our steroid scandal of our era.
Right.
So those guys may not get to the Hall of Fame, like so
Right.
many guys from when we were growing up. Is not like Palmero or like Clemens or
Yeah.
Bonds or
McGuire or
right Sosa.
Canseco,
People like that.
Yeah.
Well, Canseco,
Mm,
maybe.
no.
I mean, the man had a home run by ball hitting his head.
Right.
So that's
Yeah.
again, that's another story.
Right. I like I said before about the steroid era of baseball. I think those guys deserve to be in because they operated in a weird time for baseball. Like the
Right.
'94 season got completely wiped out, and there were a lot of guys who were on pace to break records, and they had their whole season wiped out. And baseball was like, they lost a lot of revenue. They lost their fans. They could not get their fans back, and until, McGuire and Sosa, really, like, baseball was kind of circling the drain in the early 2000s, honestly, late
Sure.
90s, early 2000s. I mean, I don't think that's a stretch to say, but they brought fans back because people, guys like, people like seeing home runs. They like seeing the long ball, and that's why baseball's trying so hard to give batters more of an advantage in baseball, because there's really not that prototypical home run hitter, like what we grew up watching. I
Right.
don't really see anybody coming close to 73 home runs in a season. That's in today's game. Maybe Guerrero, but I think Guerrero tops out at 50, 55 home runs. Otani, if he was to give up pitching, but that kid just loves pitching, I think, way too
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Um,
He loves it
so
all. He's having a blast. I love watching him
right. I
play.
love him so much. I want to meet that guy. So have you seen him play at the A's games? Have you seen?
Yes. Yeah.
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 Was it like the Ichiro? Remember the time he went to that
I
game?
do. I do. Yeah. There was a lot of red sitting in one section, and they were there for about half the game. It's the weirdest thing.
That's probably one of my more favorite memories. I go back like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, it's like a ghost town. All their Fuji bottles or Fiji bottles
Right.
are gone.
Right. That was my first introduction to square water balls. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah,
All their
we sat in the right section or the wrong section. I don't know.
I don't know. But like Ichiro has one at bat, and then poof, they were gone. Like, they were never here, Trebek. Oh, right.
Yeah,
Oh man, yeah. No, I like Otani. I really do. I think I honestly still, I'm going to say this until I'm blue in the face. He's the MVP. If he's not the MVP of the American League, baseball's doing something wrong. Terribly, terribly wrong.
yeah. I mean, we'll just have to see how the rest of the season plays out.
Yeah.
There are a few contenders, like you say. Guerrero is definitely a top contender. That kid is going off. He's keeping up. There's so I mean, we'll see. Only
Yeah.
time will tell.
I mean, there's still a lot of baseball to be played.
Oh yeah.
We're not even into like September yet. We're about to turn the month to August. And I think, August has always been that month for me where you can see who's real and who the fakes are, who the phony teams are, who's been sprinting to get to this point, who's been really pacing themselves to get to this point.
I think you'll see. Yeah, you'll start seeing the playoff picture definitely come into view a little clearer, and
Yeah.
you'll be able. Okay, you'll be able to be like, okay, that'll be a fun matchup. We'll see. We'll see. So
Yeah, no, it's exciting. I think this is a very great time of baseball. I don't want to see teams completely jeopardize their future for a couple of arms. I think like the moves that the A's have made have been pretty solid. What the who was it? Was it the Mets or who got Harvey? Tampa Bay.
oh,
Was it Tampa? Yeah.
Yeah,
And then Tampa, like I said, I did raid Tampa once to go after Scherzer. I'm like, if Tampa gets Scherzer, they're all in on trying to win a championship in Tampa.
Well, they were real close last year.
Right.
And the Nationals, they said anybody's up for grabs for the right price, minus Juan Soto.
Yeah. Right.
Like,
Well, yeah.
that's pretty daring. It's like they're willing to part ways with everybody. All right.
Right. Yeah. I also I didn't read it. I saw the story where the Yankees made an offer for Story out of the Rockies. Like, that poor fan base. I'm sorry. Dear Rockies, I'm sorry.
We're sorry.
I'm sorry. Everything is a complete lie because your ownership is terrible. Like, you think like the A's ownership does some shady stuff. You should see what the Rockies ownership does. That's
At least they have a park.
Right. Nolan Arenado got shipped off for a paperweight and a bag of potato chips because Arenado saw through the facade. Like, he even called them out. Like, he's like, dude, this isn't. They're just building something that looks good, looks sexy to the fans, but they're really not building anything. They're not doing anything. They have no desire to win a championship. They don't want to spend any money to win a championship. Like they signed Arenado to that big deal, knowing damn well they weren't going to keep him.
Yeah.
They knew they were going to trade him when he signed it, but it looked good to the fans. Oh, look at us. We're trying so hard. Here, we gave Arenado all this money to be the face of our franchise. Oh, 2 seconds later, boom, gone.
I had the funniest feeling the Angels may be doing the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
With Mike Trout, they're like, oh, well, at least Mike Trout knows he'll have October's off for a while.
Right. Like, I think somebody needs to start a Twitter campaign, hashtag free Trout,
Yeah.
Because that man is just, he deserves to at least compete for a championship, to know what it's like to play in the playoffs. And as long as he's with the Angels, like the Angels are the same team as the Rockies. You're looking at the exact same setup. It's a facade. Oh, look, we hired this big name coach. Oh, look, we have Ohtani. Look, we have Trout. But in reality, they're just a bunch of guys playing baseball. They're just a bunch of dudes, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. That's what I see. It's just a bunch of guys playing baseball, and they're not really trying to win a championship. They're just trying to get butts in the seats. I mean, which I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to do this, because, with, Rona and cases spiking up everywhere. I don't know how much longer they're going to let us, go to baseball games, go to hockey games, football games. Well, not so much hockey. Hockey's kind of, done. But, so enjoy it while it lasts, I guess. I think like, I don't know about you, but I kind of think that if baseball shuts down due to COVID, I think guys just end the season. They're not going to want to put up with the same restrictions that they had last season necessarily.
It depends. I mean, we'll see. I mean, again, only time will tell with all that kind of stuff. We're in a crazy time where anything it can really happen. We're like, oh, let's shut down again. Well,
right. Yeah. Well, I hope it doesn't head that way, because it's been so much fun to watch baseball games and see fans in the seats and see kids reacting to their heroes and stuff like that. I'm not, I'm not completely dead inside. No, I see kids acting with their heroes, and I'm like, it just brings a tear to your eye. You're like, "Aw." Because that's what it's all about. It's all
Yeah.
about, kids meeting their baseball idols and stuff like that.
When Freddie Freeman's kid, all he wanted to do was meet Tatis. That's
Right.
also big. That's
Like,
oh,
that
can't
is
come.
awesome.
Adorable.
Like Freeman, he even said, I think I just won Dad of the Year, best dad
Yeah.
ever award, So, so I think baseball is in a really good spot right now. I think that, it's going to be interesting to see what teams do and how they, the trade deadline's coming up really quickly. I think it's Friday.
Yeah, it's the end of the week.
Yeah. So 2 p.m. Friday, something like that.
Something
Yeah.
like that, 1 or 2. Yeah, I think it's Eastern time or something.
Yeah. So um, it'll be interesting. Like I said, I saw that they expect Scherzer to be gone within the next 24 to 48 hours. So he's going to go really quick.
Yep.
I think if you're the Giants, you got to make a legitimate run at them, but don't trade away anybody that's on your current roster.
No.
I would be willing to part with Bart. Like I said, I don't think he's developed the way they want him to with the bat on the bat side of things. I think he would be a great fit for the Nationals. I think he'd be a great fit anywhere. I just don't see him really doing the things that Buster Posey has done. And I think that that's the standard that they're holding their catchers to, is like, well, Buster did this. What can you do that's like Buster?
Which is almost unfair because
right.
Buster's in a league of his own. Like you can't really do that to
right.
other guys.
He's done
him.
exactly.
As long as I don't think they should touch Lamont Wade. They should hold on to him.
Yes. Hold on to him and love him forever. That
guy has come out of nowhere and he has held that team together.
Right, exactly. But that's the beauty about this Giants team, is it's somebody different every night. It's like it's almost like an ugly, garbagey, messy food, but it's the best tasting food you've ever tasted in your life. It just looks unappealing. Like on paper, this team should be a bottom third of the league on paper, but I think that their chemistry and how they interact with each other and their love of the game of baseball, like they just are able to click on a whole different level. And that's a scary situation for any baseball team to come in. A baseball team that has nothing to lose is the scariest team you ever want to play.
It reminds me a lot of the A's from a decade ago.
Yeah.
2012. It's the same kind of thing. These guys were coming out of nowhere. This ragtag group, Yoenis Cespedes, Josh Donaldson, like all those guys were just, and look how far they made it.
Right, exactly.
Nobody thought they'd go anywhere. They won the division.
Right.
2 years in a row, I believe.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I said, like anybody who, like if you get a good group of guys together, I think that pushes you farther than having the highest payroll, because, as we've seen with the New York Yankees, just because you have an exorbitant payroll and you pay the highest taxes in the league, luxury taxes in the league, doesn't mean you're going to win a championship. It takes chemistry on a certain level, especially with a 162 game season. It takes
same with the Dodgers.
Exactly. Look how long
it took them to do it.
Right. And
they series they actually went to and failed.
Right, exactly.
And then the one they won is this shortened 60-game season.
Right, like exactly. Come on, give me a break. And they're showing signs of cracking now. Like they're just not built to play 162 games plus playoffs.
Nope.
So yeah, I think that it's a good time for baseball. We're entering like the fun stretch of baseball where, okay, I want to watch religiously every single day because I have to see what's happening next, because it's the fun, it's the fun stretch where you see the playoffs, who your contenders are, who your pretenders are. And so, you're going to see a lot of different guys on different teams. It's going to get weird. It always gets weird.
And they start bringing up guys that expand the rosters. So you get to see a bunch of guys that you don't normally get to see, and you start learning names and people. And
right, like Lamont Wade Jr. Yeah,
right.
That's a name I'm learning real quick. I'm like, he did how many home runs? Good for him. So now I'm Googling him like, oh, okay, that's what he's done. Yeah. So yeah, no, this is it's fun. Baseball's fun. I still, like I love hockey. I love baseball. I do love baseball. And just uh, growing up watching baseball with you and our parents going to games and stuff like that really kind of molded how we view the game.
Yeah.
When we started to get develop opinions of our own on our on teams and baseball, and really understand what baseball really is, which it's a business. At the end of the day, it's a business, and teams are going to make business decisions. Um, it becomes fun on a whole new level. So like, the last thing I want to talk about is the proposed changes for next year. I'm the old guy. Get off my lawn. Keep the designated hitter off the National League. Does not need does not need a designated hitter in the National League. Don't care for that. Don't like that. What do you think?
I say let the players vote on it.
Yeah.
Just let the players see what they say.
Yeah.
Because in the end, it's going to affect them and only them.
Right.
So I say give the players a vote. Have at it.
Yeah.
See what they say. I personally, I keep it the way it is.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing that distinguishes the two leagues, which I think is kind of a cool thing.
Right.
Like, so you'll have guys that come over to the National League from the American League and be like, how the hell am I supposed to hit a ball? Never had to do that
exactly.
and then some guys, like, look at Tim Hudson. Tim Hudson's one of the best hitting pitchers of the last 15, 20 years, easily.
Right. Yeah.
Since they started the whole DH thing. But yeah, he was such a solid hitter.
Right.
Like, and he was a pitcher, and he was an American League pitcher with the A's for the longest time.
Right.
So it's cool. Sometimes you'll see guys learn a new talent that you've never seen. So I like it. Keep it.
Yeah. No, I think it's, I like it. Another one of the proposed rule changes is they're going to get rid of the 7-inning headers next season, go back to regular doubleheader baseball games. See, I'm kind of on the fence on that one. Like, I like the shortened doubleheader games, because it saves guys from having to play 18 innings in one game, because that's really grueling. But at the same time, it's not a real game, so I'm kind of torn on that one. Keep it, don't keep it. I can go either way, honestly.
Keep it, but you have to take into account, the whole Madison Bumgarner situation this year.
Right.
No hitter. It wasn't up to him how many innings he pitched. He would have pitched 2 innings if they would have let him. They called the game. That was the end of the game.
Right.
That game was over. It counts as a full win. It should count. All the stats should count the same.
Right.
All the guys got the hits. All the strikeouts counted.
Right.
It should be a no-hitter.
Right. Like, he gets his bonus based on his performance. So it counts in every situation. I agree with that. Keep the 7-inning games, but make the stats count,
Right.
So I think that's I think that's a really good I think I'm team keep it. Extra inning games, runner on second base. You're thinking about getting rid of that.
I like it. I didn't think I would, but I like it.
Yeah.
Because there's some times where something just won't click, and they'll still get the 14, 15 innings even with the guy on second. Like,
right.
It has the potential of quickening the game, which I'm fine with. But
yeah. Look at the Giants and Angels earlier this year. It took them 15 innings to win a baseball game. And I subjected my girlfriend to all 15. I pointed that way because she's downstairs. I subjected her to all 50. Yeah, exactly. I subjected her to all 15 innings of that baseball game. Eventually, she got bored and cooked dinner. But I'm like, oh yeah, they won. She's they must have won. Yep. Yeah. Yep, they won. It took 15 and a half innings, but they did.
I say my wife subjected me to it, but I was just as enthralled because my game was over. So I was like, all right, let's finish watching this game.
Yeah. So, I think that's the last of the rule changes that they were proposing to keep and get rid of.
I think so.
I think so too. Yeah. So anyways, thank you for coming on here. I appreciate it. Look forward to doing it next week. It'll probably happen, Tuesday, Wednesday, sometime. It
For
won't
sure.
be exact week, So if you want to let people know how they can contact you, if you want to give out your contact information, if they want to yell at you, say you're an idiot.
Please do. I welcome it. I thrive
Yeah.
on hate. I
Yeah.
breathe hate. I love it. Yeah. At RFBDub on Instagram and Twitter. Um, yeah. Facebook, I
Awesome.
think I'm just me. So if you can find
Nice.
me, good luck.
you know, like I said in the my updated thing, podcast post, these kinks are going to
Absolutely.
happen. These videos are going to go unedited because I like the natural feel it has to them, because none of us are perfect, and
Yeah.
you need a little imperfection. So like I said, I'm going to expand this to video. This is the very first video podcast, so you get to stare at our faces while listening to us ramble on about baseball like two nerds.
Sorry about that.
My bad. um so I'm going to be expanding to Twitter, and I'm going to be retooling the Facebook page to make it more brand oriented so people can find it better. I do have an email set up, but I'm not going to give that out quite yet until I have all the other social medias set up. So look forward to next week's conversation. Have some stuff you want to talk about, and I'll talk to you then, bud.
Great. Good talking to you, buddy.
Yep, you too. Bye.
Bye.